Ray Arnold's mysterious disappearance in Jurassic Park is one of the franchise's most unanswered questions. Like, what actually happened to him after he left that security room, seemingly never to return? We know they only ever find his arm. So what happened to the rest of him? Was it ever found? Did they come back for him at all because we know they left the island? And is there any possibility that he actually survived? Because in other official Jurassic media sources, this scene plays out completely differently. Well, I've got the real truth on what happened to Ray Arnold, and you're not going to want to miss a single bit of this, so get ready. Now, we all know John Raymond Ray Arnold, the chief engineer of Jurassic Park in both the novel and the movie, and also appears in the novels, movies, and games. He gives us the famous catchphrase, "Hold on to your butt." And we know that John Hammond told Arnold to shut down the entire system and reset it, although John Arnold was against the idea because he'd never shut down the entire system before and was not sure that it would come back on at all. He shuts it down and the computers do all come back on, and that's where he decides to set out to the maintenance shed to reset the Jurassic Park breakers, whilst all the other survivors go to the security bunker to await his return. Now, something I will like to point out at this stage is that isn't always the case, and isn't the case in other official Jurassic Park media, but that's something I'll come back to later. Now, a period of time passes and Ellie Sattler decides something has gone wrong because he hasn't returned, and this sets off the chain of events of asking what actually happened to Ray Arnold. Because first of all, wouldn't have Ray have known that resetting the system could possibly release the raptors? Especially as Muldoon says earlier on as one of his first lines of thought, are the raptor fences still on?
The raptor fences aren't out, are they?
No, they're still on.
And further to this, wouldn't the raptors have attacked Ray before he'd even got to the shed? Already something seems a little bit off here. Wouldn't you have thought with Arnold being against shutting down the system, he would know that the power would have been out to the fences and especially the raptor pen? So why would he have opted to leave the security room? Well, one answer is the fact that the raptor pen could have had its own power generator, because obviously when he sits at Nedry's desk, Muldoon asks him to check the power on the raptor pen and he says no, the power's still on, indicating the raptor pen could have had its own power generator, or the fact Nedry never shut off the fences specifically to that area. Although in the film it's heavily implied that the power is basically down everywhere. Another indication is when Arnold does leave the security room and goes to the raptor pen, the raptors are still in their cage, they haven't escaped yet, leading him to believe that it was indeed safe to head to the maintenance shed. But again, this isn't the case in other sources of media, and I will come back to that later on. Now, he obviously makes his way to the maintenance shed, heads inside to reset the circuit breakers, and gets attacked by a raptor. And we know this to be the case because Ellie also does the same thing, gets attacked by the same raptor, and his arm falls on her shoulder from behind the pipes. Now, many people have asked the question, how is there no body? How is his arm behind the set of pipes to even fall on her to begin with? Well, there's a very simple explanation, and it's kind of explained in the comics. Well, one version of the comics anyway, because some other versions I'm going to talk about later are completely different. Mr. Arnold decides that he's going to leave the shed bunker door open because it's completely dark down there, he doesn't have a torch, and uses his shoe to prop the door open so he has some light. Now, even if he didn't prop the door open, the raptors can open doors themselves anyway, so it would make no difference. The raptor follows him inside and pursues him throughout the maintenance shed. Obviously, as he's running through the corridors in the dark, he hasn't a clue where he's going, and he ends up in a dead end and a set of pipes, and on the other side of that set of pipes is the circuit breaker as he reaches through and tries to squeeze through, and this is where the raptor attacks him, ripping his arm off and lodging it between that space, hence how it falls on Ellie. Now, we would assume that is exactly what happens in the movie, hence why we see no body on Ellie's side. It would be on the other side by them pipes. And if that was the case, no one ever found it during the movie, because obviously we know Ellie leaves, the raptor follows her, they eventually have the two raptors killed by the T-Rex and the one locked in the freezer. Meaning, when they all leave that island, there's no way that any other animal can get into that maintenance shed, because we know the raptors are the only ones capable of opening that door, or any door for that matter. So if Ray's body was inside the maintenance shed, that is where it's going to stay until the 1994 cleanup operation comes to Isla Nublar, and potentially finds it there. Although because of the humid environment, high temperatures, it would be heavily decomposed, but it wouldn't have been attacked by any scavenger because we know they can't get in there. But again, this is only theory work, because in another official Jurassic Park media source, Ray Arnold doesn't even enter the bunker to begin with to even be attacked by a raptor. And that right there opens up so many different possibilities as to what could happen to Ray Arnold. So let me continue to explain. Now, just like how Rob Robert Muldoon survived in the comic book adaptation, it is possible that Samuel L. Jackson's character, Ray Arnold, could have suffered the same fate. Because in the comic book adaptation, Robert Muldoon actually survives his encounter with the velociraptor, unlike the film version, and obviously we know he survives in the novel anyway. If you want to know all about that, check out this video here after we're done watching this. And the same thing could be said with Ray Arnold, so let me continue to explain. Now, the comics are very faithful to the movie, although there are some major differences in certain places, like when the power goes out. And when the power goes out, Ray becomes trapped in the visitor center when Dennis Nedry turned off the fences and let the dinosaurs loose, along with John Hammond and Robert Muldoon. And he's seen with a headset on while working at his desk. And instead of actually going out to reset the circuit breakers, yada yada yada, getting killed, Ray decides to shut down the systems there and then in their office and reboot them. Unlike in the movie, he doesn't leave to attempt to reactivate the fences in the maintenance shed. So then you might be thinking to yourself, what actually happens to Ray Arnold in this version then? Well, this is the thing, no one knows. Because the character of John Arnold simply just disappears in the adaptation with no more mention of him at all. He reboots the power and poof, he's gone. Out of existence entirely. They leave the island and leave him behind, leaving the door wide open to what actually happened to Ray Arnold and interpretation. We're obviously assuming that Ray Arnold does escape somehow, or doesn't die because he's never really mentioned again. Or it could be the complete opposite. When the raptors make it into the visitor center, they attack him inside of there instead of the maintenance shed. But again, all of this is unknown. Now, it's obviously worth pointing out as well that he suddenly disappears because they presumably cut and shortened the fourth comic of the adaptation because they ran out of time. They needed to push it out to publication, which is quite sad in my eyes, but you know how the world works, publishers, deadlines, etc., demands. And obviously it's worth pointing out as well that the comics are not canon to the movie or novel universe. They're their own set of events and canon, much like the games. So the comic book adaptation has Muldoon survive the raptor encounter and potentially John Ray Arnold as well, leaving the door wide open for anything they want to bring into future Jurassic Park survival games, for example, because they are technically not canon, although we're not sure if survival will be canon or not. And something else which is extremely interesting is in a deleted scene for the Lost World Jurassic Park, you have Peter Ludlow talking about the incident in the original Jurassic Park and how InGen is being sued by John Ray Arnold's family for over $20 million.
Wrongful death settlements, partial list. Family of Donald Gennaro, $36.5 million. Family of John Arnold, $23 million. Family of Robert Muldoon, $12.6 million.
That's all but confirming he did perish in the original Jurassic Park event in 1993. So although there's definite room for Muldoon to return, like I said, go check this video out here, it explains it all, because Muldoon's version of events stay basically exactly the same to the film, except a few differences here and there. Whereas John Ray Arnold's are kinda completely different. He doesn't leave the visitor center and instead resets the system from there and then, completely cutting out the maintenance shed part of events in the film. So if Jurassic Park Survival is going to try and stay true to the films, they couldn't really use John Ray Arnold's cutting out the maintenance shed part to bring him back into the game. But they can use Robert Muldoon's, and I'm not going to spoil that. I can't recommend checking it out enough. And if you learned something new today, hit that like button and subscribe for plenty more content like this coming up. You don't want to miss it, trust me. Subscribe right now and check out all my other videos. I'd like to thank my YouTube members as always. Thanks guys on the screen now. Can't do this without you. And can I solve all Jurassic Park and Jurassic World related mysteries? You bet Jurassic can. Catch you later.